a great suburb. We're going to talk about Wheeler Heights. Over to you, Michael Burgio.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 435. This morning, we're going to be talking, for one, going to be looking at a great suburb on the northern beaches called Wheeler Heights, but also allowing you to take the points or how we look at a suburb, judging its success and some good characteristics of it, and then you may be able to apply that to a suburb that you're looking at buying to judge as well. So I'm just gonna Wheeler Heights. Do you want to give the brief description where Wheeler Heights is, Mark, and I'll just share the screen?
Yeah, so, and look, I think before we go into data, Michael,
okay,
why the attractions of a suburb are really, really important to the value of that suburb. And, you know, there's things that are not so obvious and the things that are super obvious, like schools and ocean and beach and shops and lakes and whatever that is. We're going to by using Wheeler Heights, you're going to see some of the examples of why that's a great suburb for us on the northern beaches. And like Michael was saying, you're going to apply those things, overlay them onto where you are at the moment. So it's where Wheeler Heights so there's 35 suburbs, 40 suburbs on the northern beaches. Wheeler Heights is actually inland, one suburb inland from the beach. So you've got Coleroy Plateau, then you've got Wheeler Heights sitting in there. Even to topography, I think it's pretty important for a suburb. The more people love a level block, but people do love an aspect as well. So if you can achieve, this is sort of a slightly hilly sort of area, but it's denoted. But you've got the Narrabeen lakes around it as well. Then you've got your beach to the east, your lakes to the north. You've got your shops, which is really important, and schools and stuff for a suburb. Through there, so there you go. You got your commercial industry, so bit of industrial sort of for key workers and stuff there as well. That beautiful lake straight above, the beautiful beach to the east. So these are some of the things that people are looking at for a great suburb. That they love water, they do love a shop, they do love a level block, they do love to be able to get to where they got to get to fast.
Now, and I think it's also good to look at population, how many homes there are in an area, so you can put things into context. I find a lot of people, not say go wrong, but they look at a suburb and they don't have the context, like, 50 homes are on the market, maybe why a lot of people are leaving. It's like, well, normally there's 100, so 50 is not that large. Because you may be coming from an area that only sells 10 homes a month, and then you're looking at an area to look at to buy in it, and they're doing a lot more. So, and vice versa. So I think context is very key. So you want to know sort of the location, the population. And now look at Wheeler Heights we've got 7 parks covering population of 14,387 people. There are 884 dwellings, 119 units. So a pretty good size. That would be do you reckon that would be one of Northern Beach's smaller suburbs? But look at this, total listings on average is 26 and the median sale price is 2.16. What does that tell you, Mark?
Every 2 weeks there's a house that's selling. $2 million is about on par, I reckon.
Yeah.
Only one property on the market in Wheeler Heights.
That actually gives you a good point, where if you're looking to buy there, Mark, and there's nothing on the market you like, knowing this data helps you judge how long till another property comes up on the market, where if that were, say, 100, then you're like, okay, well, on average next week, 4 new homes will come up on the market and I can wait. Or if it's lower, you go, well, typically maybe a month before another house comes on the market, and I want to buy something now. So, like I find that's very keen. I get that a lot in commercial property when a buyer who they're very keen to buy, they're almost calling every week thinking there's 10 new listings like residential. But I think it's good to know those figures, especially if you've really pinpointed a suburb you want to buy, and you need to know the volume. And because as we've said on many shows, Mark, sometimes when there's more listings on the market, you've got more choice, which can mean a little bit more aggressive on price compared to a suburb with not many listings.
So, guys, if you just tuned in, we're talking about how to identify a great suburb and the characteristics. We're using as an example Wheeler Heights on the northern beaches. Michael, you know what another one is about? I think about a great suburb. Topography, obviously, being level is nice. People love having a level entry to their home. They love having an entry yard. Another thing, in addition to that, is a dirty suburb. Sometimes what people actually have is how do I say it? They got commercial, industrial, smoke, trucks and stuff going through their suburbs. So I think often if you can get away from that a little bit, that is an advantage as well if you're not in a dirty suburb.
Yeah, that's very true. The variety. A lot of people may only want to be in a residential only area, which doesn't have, commercial use and things like that as well. Now,
like it's pretty,
Yeah.
Architecture. Like if you got a suburb that's like full of, different suburbs. Some of them have a lot of Hampton homes. Some of them have a lot of sort of one-story homes, a lot of two-story homes. I think a suburb with pretty architecture, with the majority of the homes, does start pushing up or preserving the value of the suburb.
Talk us through the importance of, or no importance, knowing the median sale price of an area. If you're a purchaser and you know the median, how does that help you when you're out on the weekends and comparing that to guide prices? Like Wheeler Heights median price is just under that sort of 2 million. What's the advantage of knowing the data for a buyer and the trend of the median?
Look, I think if you can have a fair drive through that suburb and say, look, the representation of this suburb is generally one level homes. This is not Wheeler Heights, but I'm just saying generally one level homes, 3-bedroom is generally what's in the area. And then you've got that median price available to you, then you can generally say, okay, well, if the median price is 2.1, then generally, and an agent's guiding to me 1.6, I know that's out.
Yeah. Okay. What else are you looking for when you're picking a suburb? So if you're purchasing and you say we want to live there, school's important, public transport?
Yeah. I think for Wheeler Heights, public transport is a big thing. Schools are a big thing. Do you know what? Education for your kids, and the Chinese do this a lot in all the Asian cultures, I should say, but they really do weight and importance on the education of their kids, so much so that they actually move to an area for a school, for a primary school and for a secondary school, more so a secondary school. University, the kids are a bit older, they sort of don't mind, give them a car and they can travel, but certainly for those younger years, that sort of, 6 years of age all the way through to 17, school's super important, having the right type of acumen of level of education. Some even choose a little bit of affluence as well, for that. But certainly Cromer High School's got a cracker primary school public system, and Wheeler Heights is also close to not only my favourite Cromer High School where I was educated. No comment.
Yeah.
And Pittwater House is a really good private school as well. But there's good private schools around. There's good public schools around, and I think that helps with livability for a suburb.
And Mal said Bella Vista Waters versus Bella Vista median price is 1.7 versus 2.7, all due to the architecture. So you've probably got a suburb that's a lot of Metricon standard homes, and then a lot of people doing really boutique, beautiful homes. Reminds me of Melbourne. If anyone says anything about architecture, there's a lot of that in Melbourne. And I'll say it's more the culture in the schools when other kids are dedicated to high performance. This is what parents look for. And I think, like, you bring back to Wheeler Heights, in the general blurb of the suburb, it says most of the population are 40 to 45 with children, paying on average a $4,000 mortgage. So looking at that type of data, we'll see, like, if you've got a suburb that is mainly parent, that's going to sort of reflect what everyone wants. Is going to be, and you're a parent with kids, then being in that environment, you're going to have a lot of the same sort of the same sort of response. I'm trying to think of the word. Not responsibilities, wants, maybe closer to public transport, having better walking paths to and from school, better quality bus stops. So if you all got children, you're going to care about if there's more pedestrian crossings, access and direct transport to the school. If you're in a suburb that mostly has teenagers, they're not worried. They're not going to have been asking council to put in extra bus routes from that suburb closer to the school, because not everyone's around wanting the same things. So I think if you've got kids and you look at a suburb like Wheeler Heights, which are predominantly parents with kids, then you're all having those, the area is going to have the same wants. I can't think of the right word, but I think you get the point.
And don't forget, every suburb, what people don't realise, and guys, we're just talking about identifying your suburbs with property prices and stuff like that. Don't forget there's a word that I invented. It's called the suburb churn. So every suburb has a churn of empty nesters, which is also a churn of young families moving in. It's pretty much the same thing. It actually marries up, or it anchors up to when the suburb was originally developed. So people will generally get in when their kids are sort of 3, 4, 5 years of age, and they will get out when their kids are sort of 20, 22, 25 years of age. So there's about a 15 to 20 year churn that go on in most suburbs. So you'll see this particularly in newly anchored suburbs. So, where there's big estates, and then you'll see all the young families move in, and then you'll see all the houses get old equally, and then they all start getting the renovations equally. So Narrowena, or let's go back to Wheeler Heights. Wheeler Heights is probably about a 35, 40-year-old suburb now. It's gone through 2 churns. So it's actually now coming out of its last churn. So what you'll actually start to see with that suburb is, see how you notice that the average age was 44? Yeah. You'll notice that average age will start creeping up. Then you'll actually notice it'll start creeping back down. Then it'll start. So it always does that. You'll start noticing all the houses getting renovated. With when all the young families come in, kitchens, bathrooms, and you'll start noticing these houses age as the old families stay in there. So there will be suburbs that will go through this churn that I'm talking about. Like Haberfield and those other places in suburbs, you see a lot of the oldies, and then the oldies sell, and all the Audis turn up, and the European cars, and then they're doing kitchens, bathrooms, second stories, and funky stuff. So suburbs do go through churn, and if you want to understand your suburb in Sydney a little bit more, understand that.
Well, it's a good point. It says the average length of owners in Wheeler Heights is 14 years, which really goes with what you're saying. So it's good to see that with suburbs. Owner occupiers are 90% as well. So there's some key things to really test out. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good testament to a good suburb as well, Burge. I think if it's more owner occupied than tenants is, I think you'll find that people will tend to spend a bit more money when they live there rather than when they rent there. So the quality of homes and the love that's gone into those homes, and probably the longevity of those families in those areas, is very good. A tenancy may last for 2 to 4 years, but you can see an owner occupying as lasting for 14 years. You've probably got better better more long-standing neighbours.
Yeah, very true. All righty. Anything else you want to add on to that this morning, Mark?
That's a bit about Wheeler Heights. That's a really good snapshot on how to identify your suburb. I love talking about our Northern Beaches suburbs as well, so everyone can understand them a little bit. Around it, you got Colorado Plateau, you got Narrowena, you got DY, you got Narrabeen. It's a really cool place to live. But yeah, I love talking about our locations and why they're good.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow morning.
See you, Mr. Burgio.
Bye.